Today is Wednesday, December 13th, 2017. This is MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am Goes. To my left is MMA Junkie Radio's fight analyst, Dan Tom. George will be here soon. And the world's greatest producer back in New York is Danny Otto.
Hi.
On the line, already waiting in the queue,
Yes.
is Joe from Odessa. Whoop, let me hear you.
Yo, what up, Junkie Nation?
What's up, Joe?
Not a whole lot, man.
Joe is going to be starting a new business, and it's called Odessa Furniture Exchange. So if you need furniture in Odessa, Texas, buy it from Joe. Do you have a jingle yet, Joe?
Yep. No, not yet. We're working on it.
You should do like a Star Trek theme place and just say like, we put our futons on phaser. I don't know.
No, we set our futons to stun. We set our futons
to
stun.
I do like that. That's creative.
The greatest prices in the galaxy.
There you go.
Danny's going to get all Rick and Morty with your commercial. Be careful.
You could have lightsaber stands.
Oh.
Nice. I can work with this.
Our prices are out of this world.
I like it.
Beam us up to a new couch.
There you go.
Better than Jesus built it. No, that probably won't make you. Don't go with that, Joe. That actually will get you less customers. That was what not to do.
In Texas, man.
Yeah. I was thinking of other famous. I was thinking of other famous carpenters who could be competing with him, and that was like the most famous one, right?
It's Jesus and then Al Borland. I think is the way it goes.
I mean, I say
Bob Vila's up there, man.
Bob Vila's after Al Borland.
Again, it comes from 11th place.
Why am I hearing myself, by the way?
Bob Vila.
Bob Vila's awesome, by the way. Hey, top 5 people to rock
Bob
plaid.
Vila ever laughed? Huh?
Can you tell under the beard?
He chuckles.
It's so
Does he
magical.
Chuckles.
He didn't have to laugh.
Bob
He's
Vila's
amazing.
so serious.
He chuckled, didn't he?
Did he?
I don't know. I've only seen Bob Vila like twice in real life.
Maybe
There's
one.
somebody else calling right now, by the way.
Really?
Dude, it's a popular party today,
Mr.
folks.
Belding, does he want a piece of this?
Oh, Mr. Balding.
Mr. Balding.
Mr. Belding.
Mr. Balding.
Ball.
Hey. Which one of them called him that, anyways?
I don't know. That sounds like something Zach Morris would do,
Mr.
though.
Balding. All I remember about that is all you had to do is sit by the beach if you had a problem, and it would be solved because whoever you had an issue with would come out and resolve that problem with you. Remember Zach Morris sitting on the beach?
Did he ever have an issue with Ollie Creakley?
Who's Ollie Creakley?
You remember that, dude?
It's not ringing a bell.
Coming up in a minute.
1 minute. George is here.
1 minute. 1 minute.
What about, what were those two sisters, the twins? Oh, man.
I don't know what you're talking about.
On
You're
Saved
talking
by the
about
Bell.
from...
Saved by the Bell,
like
twin
Simpsons
sisters?
all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Coming up in 30.
Oh, man. All right, hold on. I'll Google it.
Is this like early? Like early
Nah.
Saved by the Bell?
They would pop up a lot, twin sisters.
Yeah, I don't remember this.
Hmm.
I mean, my Saved by the Bell knowledge is pretty limited as is, though.
Why? That show was awesome.
Yeah, I grew up on Saved by the Bell.
No, the only thing I got were the reruns that would come on before school in the morning, for me. Coming up at 10.
When I wake up in the morning. Oh.
Yeah, that's
Stand by.
what's up, George.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and Sirius XM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to MMA Junkie Radio, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our ace co-host, back east, handling all the producing duties. It's Danny. To my left, their newest addition to the show, the fight analyst, Dan Tom. What's up, guys?
What up?
You guys look like the village people, so I wanted to throw you guys off.
Yeah, threw me off at first.
I adjusted.
You look like the village people from Modern Day High School in 1987 when we went out there. We went out there and we were drunk and we just couldn't get it together.
You guys were drunk for that?
Oh, we had to get, well, not like completely hammered, but like
At
Squid was really shy then, and so you needed to get that in him if he was going to do stuff. Because what we did was we mimicked the actual cheerleaders. We actually mimicked this little routine that they had. So when you watch it, I think Goes has posted it, you're looking at it going, what the hell? Like, what just got into them? Now, later in life, we found out the village people, few of them may have been cheerleaders. But my point is, you know, we're sitting there dancing and doing this cheerleader, song leader stuff, and that was the reason was the girl that taught us some moves, she choreographed a little thing based off the national champion Modern Day High School cheerleaders. We won the national championship that year in that sport as well.
A lot of people, Squid is like a real-life cartoon character.
He is.
If you really get to know him,
Yeah.
with the hijinks he gets into throughout his life.
I don't know about you, but I just pictured that scene from Animal House where Brother Bluto is sitting under the bleachers of the cheerleaders. That's what I pictured George and his buddies, a bunch of degenerates over there.
Yeah. You know, we had other plans for other bands, and it didn't work out. Mike's brother, Woody, they had done it 3 years earlier, so we felt, is that enough of a buffer, you know, like to just do it again? But we felt like, oh, what the hell? 3 years have gone by. I mean, really?
Steve?
No, Eddie, yeah. Oh. He had done it 3 years ahead. And so, but then we thought about it. Really, the only ones that could say, hey, we saw that before was our class anyway, but there'd be 3 classes that hadn't seen it. So that's why we did it, and we put that little spin on it.
I thought it was good. The crowd got into it.
Oh, the crowd got into it.
More than the...
you got, yeah.
Prince and the Revolution one, I believe, right?
Yeah, no matter how cool, whatever cool band is in, if you ever do an air guitar in high school, don't worry about who's cool, who's in, who's got the number one record. Do what's catchy and what everyone can relate to, you know? And think about, like, what gets everyone out at a wedding or at a club. Sometimes it's just those corny songs that everyone can sing along to, you know what I mean?
Probably do some good Michael Jackson stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the times have changed. Yeah, true. But I mean, nowadays, imagine, you know, how much kids have at their disposal that they probably could do something like that.
But it was funny, on my Facebook timeline yesterday for like a 4-year anniversary, my cousin had one, and my Uncle Bob had some sense of humor. He's a Chinese guy, but he looks Korean. Why not? So he did the, what was that Korean song that was big like a couple years ago, the Gangnam Style? Yeah. And he did that and he came out and kind of, because he kind of looks like the guy, so he came out and did that for his daughter's wedding, and it actually was a hit. Everybody started getting into it and dancing and just having a laugh. But sometimes it's the cheesiest thing, to George's point, that gets everybody going.
Yeah. Remind me to tell you a story off the air about Gangnam Style at Target.
All right. Okay.
Why can't you just tell it now?
Because people get sensitive.
Really?
Stuff. Yeah.
I say F those people.
I was at Target over the holidays.
Is this the gang? Is this the story or another one?
Yeah. I mean, can I just tell it to you during the break and you guys tell me if it's something I can tell on the air?
Give me a name it involves.
Dwarfs.
Yeah, you better stop. All right.
I would do the song from the Karate Kid, "The Best Around." Remember? Or is that what it's called? And then, but I would mimic all the fight scenes from that little montage.
That would be your air guitar?
Yeah.
How would you do that?
Fun. would be one singer, but then you would have everybody else coming in doing all the fight scenes in the background.
That's interesting. Okay.
The worst one is the fat Cobra Kai guy, because he comes in and he's got the laziest 1-2 that's nowhere near coming close to landing. Right? Yeah, and he gets kicked in the fat belly. That's the best part. I think the director, the producers were like, you know what? He's already fat. Let's just kick him in the fat belly. That guy was the worst. I'm gonna find a video of that guy.
How about John Kreese just turning his back on Dutch?
That was cool.
You know, that was a classic movie. If you haven't seen it, you're an idiot. You may think I'm an idiot for not seeing Star Wars. I think you're a bigger idiot for not seeing that one. That's totally like just grab the family, make some popcorn, and watch it.
Some people
it
that
stands
have seen
the
the
test
new
of
one
time
and haven't seen the old one.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you get a good laugh.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of this, and which kind of rounds back to MMA, me and Goz were talking before the show. Let us know what you think, Gigi. Of course, maybe you know, like a card where it's 4 fights this weekend. We could maybe do a little bit of picks, and the loser has to be assigned a film. We always talk about stuff, and we always busting each other's balls on who hasn't seen what, and maybe just for fun to keep scoreboard, we can just bet the main card picks. Whoever has the best one, and whoever has the worst one, I should say, gets you can assign the other guys a pick or whatever. If that makes any sense. So you do the best on picks. You get to decide. Me and Go something to watch, and we have to pay it off by the time the next card happens.
All right, well, yeah, get it. Can you get it together on that little
we'll do
board?
it. Yeah, I'll do that.
You
we'll
have
do
the
that.
marker and all that.
And it's not the end of the world.
We'll hold it up.
Yeah.
That way we can have proof
just for fun to keep.
As long as we follow up on it, then we're good. Today's a busy show. A lot of guests, turning down guests and shit, but we just don't have spots. We got to move some to tomorrow. But today we'll talk to a couple of executives from Titan FC and Victory FC, Lex McMahon and Ryan Stoddard, respectively. Eryk Anders, who was going to be on yesterday's show, got moved to today's. John Makdessi, he's fighting Abel Trujillo this Saturday. Should be an exciting fight. Both guys are stand-up guys. They like to throw down. And, of course, Rafael dos Anjos, the headliner out at UFC on Fox 26 in Winnipeg. He'll be fighting Robbie Lawler. So I guess he's today's headliner. No offense to the others, but that's just where he's at. He's a former UFC champion, and he's one fight away, possibly, from competing versus Tyron Woodley. If Lawler wins, then it's Lawler-Woodley. If it's RDA, then it's RDA-Woodley. Colby made a case, but I think he struck a nerve with Tyron, and whatever you know, the champions sometimes hold a little bit of the cards, a little bit of power, and you know, Conor holds a lot of power over where he's going to fight, when he's going to fight, and who he's going to fight. Tyron is probably at 20%. I think he has some input, some weight, but whatever he had probably was he just didn't seem to want to click to wanting to fight Colby Covington, because Covington made a case for it, and like we explained to him on the show, hey, the heat's build up, go out there and fight. You know, like he could be your Chael Sonnen to Anderson Silva, or your Conor McGregor to Jose Aldo. You need a dance partner. He wasn't feeling it, so I think outside of that, the only other person that can ruin the RDA Lawler sweepstakes is GSP.
But they're definitely there, ready to do it. Someone's going to do it.
Yeah. That fight will happen in the spring of 2018. A Woodley defense is what I meant to say.
It's a good prediction.
Yeah, and speaking of, Mark Hunt has a dance partner. Did you guys see that?
I did. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what do you think?
Can I say the name? Curtis Blades?
Oh, yeah, actually, I guess I should have said it.
I mean, it's weird. I'm a Mark Hunt fan, so I'm excited. I'm always excited to see Mark Hunt fight, but in light of, I understand the interview was a bit blown out of proportion, but let's be honest, you know, with talking about fighters' health, and especially ones like Mark Hunt who make their career standing and begging and have had a lengthy career, you know, I almost get reserved when I see that name, the name being booked. Maybe I'm being
Hunt?
a little too, maybe I'm being a little too cautious with the whole hubbub.
What they did, though, I understand your concern. He had his own testing done in Australia, but the UFC flew him here. He was here for 4 days, and he got extensive testing, and he passed. So that's all we can ask. You know, the problem with CTE is you can't diagnose it till they pass away. I think they're finding ways now to do that. So once they die, you can open up their brain and go, wow, you know, like what they did with the tight end Aaron Hernandez from the New England Patriots, the guy that capped some people, and they said that was one of the worst cases for his age. Now they're making improvements where they can find these symptoms before someone passes away.
Right.
But obviously, there's many forms of TBI, and that can be diagnosed. And so he went, and the UFC flew him here. He did it. He passed. I mean, what more can we ask? Again, the promoter is willing to promote him, and the fighter's willing to pay, and the fighter's, you know, that's his avenue towards providing for the family, and he's 43, so he doesn't have many left. It's in Australia, so, you know, he wants to do it, they want to do it, and so what can we do? All we can do is support it at this point.
Yeah. But putting that aside, I guess that's fine. I guess more so maybe the matchup too. With those kind of guys, I'd rather them seeing them. Even though Dallas Dover went really bad for him, I still would rather see those matches where you're putting them against maybe guys of that echelon than using them to put the name over. But that's the name of the game, how it goes, right?
Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there that have concern for the athletes. We gotta protect them from themselves. And it's not that I don't respect that opinion. The problem is, I'll tell you this much: that opinion, that concern means very little to the fighters and people in fighters camps that I've come in contact with.
Yeah.
They just know that what they signed up for, many of them would never take it back. And they'll tell you that retired, active, you know, and they're still going to, you know, go out there and do it and live with those repercussions. And there's just no stopping them. So, yeah, I mean, it you know, we talked about the fact that hopefully the promoter is one person that can stop them, because all they have to do is just not book them. So, you know, I think the UFC kind of took those steps with Hunt. I don't know if they'll do it with every single athlete. It'd be nice. But, again, it's a young sport that's growing and evolving.
I think there's some guys who know what they got themselves into, but I think there's some guys that are in too deep already that just came in at an early time. Look at Robbie Lawler. Look how long he's been fighting, right? Nobody really talked about this early on in his career, but he just may be in too deep where he said, I already know what I've done to my body. It's kind of too late to turn back the clock.
What has to happen, Dan, is unfortunately kind of what happened to you, kind of what happened to
TJ,
my man, TJ Grant.
Yeah.
Where it's to the level of it affects your normal life, not just can he train or whatever.
Yeah.
Holdsworth. And that's where I think it can stop someone. The only problem is, look at the repercussions you're living with. It's going to take a while, you know, before you can ever actually consider even, I guess, hard sparring. I don't know. You know, every case is different. But other than that, I think these athletes shake it off. Look, I mean, Alistair Overeem got knocked the fuck out, as bad as anyone we've ever seen. He couldn't wait to put out a statement that he's fine. Now, I get it. You know, family and friends, you don't want them to concern themselves. But I also wonder how quick is he letting everyone know, hey, I'm good, just book me. I want to keep making money. I don't want to do this forever, and then sail off into the sunset. Because a lot of fighters, when they reach certain successes, they can actually live with those successes. There's at some point where the fire in your belly just isn't the same, where you're like, I got to be a UFC champ. I got to be a UFC champ. You know, it's, you know, if being a champ elsewhere or getting close and being a contender was good enough, it's good enough. Now it's about cashing them checks.
Like, look at Joe Lozon has been very public about, I just don't think I'm going to be a champ, but I like to fight.
I like to fight.
Yeah, and it's kind of human nature what we're talking about too, right? It's like trying to tell a young kid not to smoke cigarettes because down the line something's going to happen, but they don't see anything. They're like, what are you talking about? I feel fine. You know, it's a human nature. No matter how we dissect it, that's gonna always be the case, kind of too, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So there you have. There's our little update for a lot of those that have that type of concern. It's sad because I feel you guys. I understand what you're saying, but just in being around the gyms and talking to people on and off the air, it just really doesn't seem to be a concern for them, and they can't wait for that hard day of sparring. And a lot of them are going to have fun knocking each other out, whether it's for a pit bull or buy me lunch, street cred. You go home with the camera or with the video, whatever. I mean, it's just happening. Old school reference there.
Yeah, I like that reference.
Yeah. So Hunt is made. That fight's made. They're saying another possible title fight, and it looks like maybe either Nico Montano or is in the running to join Whitaker in his title defense. They want to have two title defenses out in Perth. But at least the Hunt Blades matchup, you know, has some spark to it as well. So that's pretty good news for all our people down under.
For sure.
Great recaps, by the way. Shout out to John Morgan and Fernanda Pratis on our staff. I really enjoyed the Benavidez one. She took her time with that one. It was a little bit more extensive, and it's getting some great pop here on our website. And you know, Benavidez again opened up about the injury that he had and how rough it is, but you know, he's a pretty positive person, and he's already, you know, on the mend, I think, psychologically and mentally, and in 3 months it'll be physically, and he'll be ready to throw down again. He's in such a tough spot because at 25, he just has those 2 losses to the incumbent, Demetrius Johnson, and he's not too interested in moving up to 35, even though there he beat everyone up but Dominic Cruz. Now, Dominic Cruz isn't the champ. Dillashaw's the champ, but now they're looking at a super fight, so he'll have some cards to play by the spring of 2018, because it does look like Dillashaw and Johnson will fight.
I think he's been pretty fortunate when you look at how many fights he's actually had, and for the most part, he's been pretty injury-free most of his career. This is his first major injury, but it does suck to get it at this time. You know, so many fights that he's been through. We saw him at the Dana White Contender Series not that long after it, and he was already bouncing around and everything, huh?
Yeah. And that was in the summer. So this is just, I think, lateral movement, wrestling and explosion and, everything he'll have to fine-tune before he can actually, get through a proper camp. And you can get through the camp, you can get through the fight. The tough tryouts went well. More than 100 unbeaten fighters went. Featherweight, lightweight, welterweight.
Wow.
Pretty much even. I'd say there was more feather than light than welter in that particular order, but not by much. It was like 40, 30, 20, although that doesn't add up to more than 100. So it's probably like higher 40, higher 30, higher 20. And but apparently they went out there and there was a lot of unbeaten fighters, and it was a good turnout. So we'll see how that pans out. I think the fact that they're unbeaten might maybe bring back some people that feel like, okay, tomato cans are going in, like serious fighters are going in here and in fun divisions, where there should be some good action. We'll see. I mean, it's got to play out, honestly. Any guess who the coaches might be?
Shoot. Now it's almost like you want to do it strategically, where who is potentially injured and or facing a layoff or needing some time off. Maybe we'll look at champions who have been really active in the last calendar year. I think are prime candidates. That seems to be kind of the methodology now, right? Aside from, unless it feels like they've cashed in their Ronda Rousey's, Brock Lesnar, and McGregor chips already, right?
Let me say this: they start filming in January.
Okay,
so that kind of leaves out Whitaker. We'll say that one.
All right. Scratch him off the list.
I would say that Stipe and Ngannou, that might qualify the winner. And then it would be versus another heavyweight. But is there another heavyweight ready to stand out and do it? I mean, maybe Kane, but he's done it before.
Ngannou would be great. Imagine if you got, on camera, you got Kevin Lee and Dewey Cooper part of his crew. And Dewey Cooper, those conversations they said they were having of joking around. Imagine if those were shared. That would be some
DC
quality.
and Volkan, I think if DC were to win, then maybe whoever fights DC could be a coach. If DC would probably fight in the summer at that point. I don't know that they would do it for Volkan. I'm not so sure. Not that he doesn't speak English or anything like that, but I just believe that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, the foreign fighters, there's as much.
The last
love
season,
for them.
They took 2 guys who really just didn't have much heat throughout the season, and Eddie Alvarez and Justin Gaethje. So I kind of want to see 2 guys that are going to chirp a little bit this season. If it were me, man, I would make T Wood and Colby and just watch that whole thing play out the whole year.
That's interesting, because if T Wood does have the surgery and he does have more of an extensive layoff, he may fit, But that finale is May, right? Oh no, it's in July.
Yeah,
it's in July. So
get paid off.
That would mean Woodley would go almost a whole year without fighting, and I don't think that was his plan, honestly. No. But that's not a bad idea. So progressing through, Connor's not going to do it unless they strip him and they make Ferguson, work it out with someone. But you want to say something?
Well, here's I think the no-brainer. 145. 145. We got Holly versus Cyborg in December.
Oh, that 45. Okay.
And there's not a big line of contenders in that division. That division could use the attention like light heavyweight, except unlike light heavyweight, like you guys were talking about, a little more marketable.
Well, who would be the coaches?
Whoever the winner is, and then let's see what Megan Anderson would finally bring her back in the fold. Hopefully her visa issues are sorted out. Maybe a tough finale show can still be done regardless of the visa issues. It can build her up into the fold, since that was kind of a delay and flop. It's going to need some nursing to get her back into the UFC fold. The division itself needs, let's be honest, some dressing up. All around from all angles, it could use some dressing up. I'm sure the UFC wouldn't mind not having Cyborg around for 6 months, or not feeling dedicated to, put this division that they've already been criticized for having up. Like, it just kind of fits all the angles the way more I think about it now, right?
How about the other 45? Well, I'm not so sure about Megan. That's
maybe
problem.
not.
And if Cyborg wins, possibly, just because even though there's a barrier there, I think she's established herself a little bit more with the English, and she'll bring a good coaching team.
They're no longer doing the Tufts in Brazil anymore, right?
They haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the other one I was thinking of was Max versus either Brian Ortega or Ricardo Lamas. Whoever wins, maybe. If Ricardo wins and smashes, I think he's ahead of Ortega. Otherwise, maybe Ortega. I don't know if it's too soon for Ortega, but he's a young prospect, and that's what the UFC likes to do. This is a chance. It's a high-profile opportunity to be a coach on Tough. So those are two others.
I like
Dillashaw just did it. Otherwise, I'd say Dillashaw and Demetrius, but. Dillashaw just, like I said, he just did it. I don't know if you really want to do it again, but anyway, I mean, that's something you can call in with, give us your thoughts. We have to go to a break. Is that okay?
Why don't we take this phone call first, then go to the break?
Yeah.
All right. Junkie Radio, who we got? Hello.
Hey, brothers, what up, Tom?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Hey, I've kind of been going through lulls here lately with my fandom. This money weight this money era is kind of taking its toll on me. But man, I'm really looking forward to the next couple of cards, man. This weekend, there's a lot of fighters who have fought for titles before, and I'm looking forward to seeing them return, like Elliott and Teixeira. On 219, I'm really looking forward to the return of Esparza, Condit. I mean, it's really got me reinvigorated, man. I'm looking forward to it.
It don't get better than RDA versus Lawler in terms of the stakes they have and what they've done, former champions, and their fighting styles are pretty exciting.
Try breaking that down.
Yeah, so that should be a really, really fun fight. And then from then on, I just consider the rest gravy. Give me a good main event, and we're off and running, Now, remember, they tried with Aldo and Lamas, so give Emmett a shot. We'll see what Emmett can do against Lamas. It's not as cracking. When you say Aldo versus Lamas, you go, oh man, versus Emmett and Lamas, you're like, well, who's that guy? A few people say that, but he is 3-1 with the UFC. He's from Team Alpha Male, and hopefully that delivers as a co-main. And like I said, Teixeira and Sernikov, they're going to start things off. Perry and Ponzinibbio, that's going to be a great fight as well.
That's an important fight for me, George.
It is. I saw that.
Simon Samano are going head-to-head there.
I'm pumped, man. On Big Fox, too. Tell all your friends. All the friends that are just kind of sitting around not doing nothing. They'll probably at least tune in if you tell them about the main card on Big Fox, and you don't have to guide them around to find, the certain cable channels or make them pay for pay-per-view. All right, Joe.
Quick question
go
on
ahead.
Condit.
Yeah.
How far back is Condit? Does he need 2 or 3 wins to get back into the mix, or how far do you see him falling?
Well, he's right behind the two we just mentioned. He's behind Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman. You probably have to get through him as well. So either 2 exciting fights versus any of the 4 I just mentioned, or probably 3 fights. And I don't know that he wants to even fight that long. Who knows? Condit, I think, is one of those where he's going to take it fight by fight at this point. I think he's put in some time. And he probably just wants to be a dad, a father, a father, a husband, and sail off into the sunset. That's why I think he's been taking these breaks. But I think it all depends on the result.
All right, fellas.
All right.
Appreciate it, man. Y'all have a good day.
All right, see you.
Easy.
Later.
All right, folks, we're going to take this break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. When we come back, we'll talk to the COO of Titan Fighting Championships. TFC has a fight card going down on Friday on the UFC Fight Pass. It's Titan Fighting 47. We'll talk about that when we come back on MMA Junkie Radio.
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been. And because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Your favorite holiday music channels are back on SiriusXM. Check out Contemporary Holiday Favorites on Holly, which is Channel 70, and Holiday Traditions. That's Channel 4. You can get a complete lineup at SiriusXM.com/holiday. All right, we are now going to start off with our first guest. His name is Lex McMahon. He's the COO of Titan Fighting Championships. Titan Fighting Championships 47 takes place on Friday. You can watch the fights on the UFC Fight Pass at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. They got everything you would want. They got WMMA, they got heavyweights, bantamweights, welterweights, flyweights. They got a title fight, for crying out loud. Tune in on Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern on the UFC Fight Pass for Titan FC 47. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, Lex? How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing great, but listen, that kind of intro, I don't even need to do an interview. You just laid it all out there. That was awesome.
Yeah.
It's all there, right? We're all fired up about Friday, man. You know, we had one of your guys on, Sadiq Youssef. He was on recently. So
you had Super Sadiq Youssef.
That's right, Super Sadiq Youssef. He's
He's
stud.
amazing.
I'm fired up.
He's a true prodigy.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to have big things. We're excited. You know, he's fighting a tough opponent in Luis Gomez for the featherweight championship. But Sadiq is special, and we're excited to see both these guys step in and fight. There's a lot of hype behind Super Sadiq, so let's see if he lives up to it, man, because it's going to be a great night of fights for sure. Yeah,
and like I mentioned, it's very balanced what you have, the offering in TF's Titan Fighting Championship 47. Talk a little bit about the co-main event, though, with Gustavo Ballart and Bruno Mesquita.
Yeah, you know, listen, we're very blessed to be down here in South Florida with so much amazing talent. And I found a way to tap into essentially the Cuban wrestling, the Cuban national wrestling team, all those fighters, or all those wrestlers that defected that were part of the Olympic team and the Pan Am team. They are here in South Florida, so now they fight for me. And Gustavo is one of those guys. He was in the Olympics. He won Pan Am gold. He is 5-0 now, fighting for Titan, and he's just on a tear, man. He puts on super exciting fights, and he knows how to entertain everybody. And you know, Bruno's fought for us in the past, and you know, had a very exciting couple of fights. You know, he won one, lost one. But, you know, he's been exciting for us. So I think it's a good matchup. And as in many cases, Gustavo is at a height and reach disadvantage because he's not the tallest fighter you've ever met. I think legitimately maybe 4'10", but he's about 7 foot tall in terms of heart. So that should be a great fight.
And for those that don't know, Cuba has been a powerhouse in wrestling for many years. They are now, they have been, and they will be. They have brought it over the years. So that's great that you guys are tapping into the Cuban wrestling market there, because I noticed there was a few other Cuban flags there as I'm going through the card. Alberto Baez, Michael Batista. So nice, very nice for you guys to do that. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, all those guys are great. Luis Gomez is part of that Cuban community for us, as well as Alberto Blas, as you mentioned. But the one to really get excited about is Michel Batista. He is a massive heavyweight. He is, you know, won the bronze medal in the Olympics in 2008. He won the Pan Am gold like 6 times, and he has the distinction of having beaten Daniel Cormier twice in wrestling, once in the Pan Ams and once in the Olympic Games. So this is a very elite athlete, and, you know, we're super excited to help him showcase, you know, his skill sets on a much bigger platform via UFC Fight Pass and Titan FC.
Man, I'm feeling that. Remember Pat Cummins kind of took that road? He said, I made Daniel Cormier cry. Next thing you know, he was on the radar. And I'm not saying Michelle said that, but if you can claim some wins over Daniel Cormier, you know, at some point you got to flaunt that. All right, this is Lex McMahon.
It doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't
exactly.
Hurt. So I think it's going to be if Michel lives up to the hype, which I really anticipate that he will. I think you're gonna see Titan, you know, fight him as much as we can. But I think he'll also go up, even though he's only 3-0 as a professional mixed martial artist. You know, when you have that kind of a pedigree in international wrestling competition. I think he will be in the UFC sooner rather than later, and I know he'd love to try to get that matchup with DC, even though he's now a heavyweight and DC is slimmed down a bit. You never know what could happen, so I know he's excited about that.
That's true. You never know. That's one thing you can always apply to mixed martial arts. Lex McMahon, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, the COO of Titan Fighting. Titan Fighting Championships 47 occurs on Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern start time, with the main event of Super Sodiq Yusuff versus Luis Gomez. All right, Goes, what do you have for Lex McMahon?
Lex, there's probably maybe a handful of people in the sport that could say they see more fight footage than you do. I'm sure tapes come across, well, we say tapes this day and age, but it's like Blu-rays that come across your desk over and over. When's the last time you saw footage of a fighter and you said, I gotta sign this guy? Who's one person that stood out in your career?
You know what? It wasn't actually tape footage. It was, I watched him live, and it was Jose Shorty Torres. He's a 2-division champion for us at flyweight and bantamweight. I found him in Bahrain when he had been invited to go train with KHK MMA, which is Sheikh Khalid's MMA team that he had before he started Brave FC. And Shorty was out there training with Khabib, and Khabib outweighs Shorty by about 40 pounds. And Shorty was, an amateur still, even though a tremendous, pedigree as an amateur. And Khabib is Khabib, number 2 in the world, one of the best fighters in his division without question. And Shorty held his own when they were training, and Khabib was not holding back, and Shorty was going for it. I signed him instantly. I knew he was a very special talent, and he certainly lived up to the hype. I believe at this juncture, his opponents in the fights that he's had for us, all of his professional fights have been with Titan FC. His combined record is something like, I want to say at this juncture, it's like 58 and versus 12 or 13, something like that for his opponents. He's gone up and beaten, UFC veterans and Pedro Nobre. He, beat a really seasoned veteran in Farkhad Sharipov to win the bantamweight championship. He's defended both belts. This kid's special. It's been fun to watch him, and that's a guy, when I saw him, I was like, holy shit, I gotta sign this guy. This guy's truly special, and it's fun to see him live up to the hype, and it's fun to get calls from the UFC saying, listen, when can we get this guy? And, so we'll work on that. I think, the plan is for Shorty to fight with us in February, but I would not be surprised if Shorty were fighting somewhere else in February with the Bald Father as his new boss.
Hey, Lex, I always enjoy your product, and as someone who's on Fight Pass a lot, it's always great to see it on there, of course. And one of the things I like about the product, and of course the fighters that you guys present and give to us, is the call team you select. Who do we have for the call team for Titan FC 47?
So we've played around with it over the past few years, from having Stephan Bonner, having Jorge Rivera. We've had Big John. John Morgan was in part of the team. We've had some great guys, but one we've settled in on that's been really, I think, exceptional for us. It makes a lot of sense. Is who I call affectionately Kush, which is Kamaru Usman from the UFC. Tearing up his division, and Showdown Joe Ferraro. Showdown, he's been doing this sport a long time. He knows everything about this sport, and he wasn't really an announced guy. We kind of made him into one, and he's exceeded our expectations, and I think that they have a great dynamic between the two of them.
I agree. Awesome. Good to hear.
Very cool. All right. Well, hey, Lex, thanks for giving us some time here. I know Fight Week is a busy week, but we look forward to it, and it was great that we got to touch on a few names other than the main event. But, break a leg, like they say, and we'll definitely be tuning in Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern on the UFC Fight Pass for Titan FC 47.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you guys so much for giving us the opportunity to bring our fighters on and talk to y'all, and allowing me to come in and run my mouth a little bit and tell our story about what we got going on, and help bring some awareness to both our athletes and to the promotion, and to our broadcast partner with the UFC Fight Pass.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Lex, for the time. Take care.
All right, guys. Take care.
See you. All right. That is Lex McMahon, and I want to, the CEO of Titan Fighting Championships. I want to give a shout out to Amanda Early for setting that up. All right. Danny.
Hi.
Hi. We should be getting a call soon.
So do you want to break real quick?
No.
Get out of the way?
No, I'm just letting you know to keep an eye on all the phone lines.
I mean, stared at the phone right now.
I know. I was trying to buy time. Can you guys say something?
I could totally buy time. Happy anniversary to our mother and father, George and Nilda Garcia. Today is their 49th anniversary.
Definitely. But I will share this. So I called it. Huh?
You going to co-sign?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I posted that on Facebook earlier. And a lot of people are sending some really, really nice comments, sending some love. And so I called Dad to wish him a happy anniversary and just to kind of talk. And it turned into an ugly argument.
Really?
Yeah. It put me in a bad mood. And I even said, well, why don't you just enjoy your day? You know, we kind of, whatever. It wasn't really as heated. And he wouldn't let it go. And so I was like, it sucks because now I feel terrible about it because it shouldn't be that way. But, yeah, that's the way it is.
Is that normal, George Sr.? You guys?
Yeah, I mean, I butt heads a lot recently. Okay. I wish we wouldn't, but as I'm getting older, I realize what it's like to get older, and you kind of set in your ways a little bit. So I try and be the one that just all right, whatever, kind of like all right, whatever, take whatever heat's coming and leave it at that. But I don't know, it didn't work out that way today, I guess. So I feel a little terrible about it, but I do know that at one point there was me saying, yeah, all right, cool, just I'll take that one on the chin, that free shot, like Alexander Emelianenko when he stole on Terry Martin's jaw, and I saw that, and Terry Martin just took him like a champ. He had a plane to catch. Same thing with me, but in this case, it just went on. How we looking, Danny?
I think he's talking to him right now.
It's probably a good sign then.
We have Rafael right now.
All right, RDA's joining us, folks. He headlines against Robbie Lawler at UFC on Fox 26 out in Winnipeg, Canada. The winner could get a shot at Tyron Woodley in 2018. What's up, Rafael? How you doing?
Hello, how are you? Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you for joining us again here on MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George Goes and Dan. How are you feeling, my friend? This had to have been a pretty tough camp because you're back to the 5 rounds, having to train for the 5-round fights, being that this is a main event.
Yeah, I feel great. Weight's great. It's not an issue, and so back to 5 rounds fight against a tough guy, and I've been training hard, and I think cardio was never an issue for me, and I was doing 5 to 6 rounds with the 3 fresh guys, and I feel in pretty good shape.
What's the difference between now having the training camps for 5 rounds at 70 versus 55? You have 15 more pounds of fuel, that you can carry as you're going through these training sessions.
Yeah, the good thing I don't have to starve myself during fight camp, so I was able to eat well and keep my body strong. I had way less injuries. My recovery was able to be way better, way faster since I'm eating better. So I just feel like that was a smartest move. That was a very smart move off my part, going to 170 pounds, and I just feel great, man. Feel good.
You guys are very similar, both southpaws. You're both in your 30s, both former champions. I was noting yesterday, though, Robbie Lawler will have a 4-inch reach advantage. Is that a concern of yours, and have your training partners also had that type of an advantage over you that, you had to find ways to overcome?
Yeah, the guy having a reach advantage on me, that's something that I'm very usual. My whole career, I always fought guys with a bigger reach advantage than me, and that was never an issue. And I fought Neil Magny and Tarif Safedin that both had a way bigger reach advantage than me, and that's no problem.
Rafael dos Anjos, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He fights on Saturday on Big Fox. That's Channel 11 in Southern California, where we're from, or where we're currently living in Vegas. It's Channel 5. Otherwise, check your local listings. But it's Big Fox, for crying out loud. This is for free, folks. You got to watch it. It's a pivotal fight. The winner could get a shot at Tyron Woodley in 2018. Goes. What do you have for RDA?
Rafael, when we look at all the people that you fought in the sport, it's a who's who of the sport. Really top caliber athletes. Where do you think Robbie Lawler ranks amongst those fighters? Could this be your toughest challenge yet?
I believe so, man. I had like the toughest challenger on the past, but I think Robbie is one of the toughest guys. He had a great career, but I just feel that I'm on my moment right now. I'm going uphill, and I feel Robbie is going downhill. He's a dangerous guy. He have a lot of knockout power, and I feel that's one of my biggest challenges, and I can't wait to go there and perform at my best and show people what I'm capable of.
Because of what could be waiting for you after this fight, is it difficult not to think past Robbie Lawler?
Sorry, can you say it again, please?
Because of what could possibly be around the corner, a title matchup, is it difficult to not think about that because you have Robbie Lawler right in front of you right now?
Yeah, no, I know that, I'm thinking already, I see that picture in my mind. I'm thinking very positive. I think since I made the move, I know that what the plans that I had on my mind, and I see that picture already. Of course, I get to pass Robbie, the toughest guy, toughest test. But I see the picture already, I'm fighting to be the best, and I'm still competing because I think I can be the best, I can be the champion, and I had no reason to compete if I don't think I could make it. And the only reason that I'm still competing is because I know I can be the champion again at 170 pounds. By the time that I stop believing with that, I will quit. I will retire. But as of now, I think that I still have what it takes to be the champion.
Rafael, this is going to be your, I believe, second or third camp with, Jason Perillo at the Rufka Gym, as well as the guys at Gracie Baja. Can you speak a bit on that relationship and getting comfortable with the camp and your coaches?
Yeah, I have my Muay Thai guy, Eduardo Pamplona, too. My guy from Gracie Baja, it's Felipe de la Monica. We got the black belt together like 15 years ago, long time ago. I know the guy for 16, 17 years already, and he's a very good personal friend of mine. I know him since kids, and we know each other since kids. And I have Jason Perillo too at Ruka, helping me with my boxing and everything else. And I have my Muay Thai guy, Eduardo Pamplona, which is, he was the very first guy that I trained when I moved up to California, like 60 years ago. And even before I go training with Kings MMA, I was training with Pamplona, and now he's here with me. He's been helping me too. It's been great, man. I'm among good guys, friends, and I'm just like collecting fruits for it. It's been a great journey.
And speaking of training, it's coming to fruition. Not only are you finding success at welterweight, but we saw in your last fight against Neil Magny, who I think has underrated jiu-jitsu. I think Neil Magny's improved a lot in the recent years, but you shut him down very fast. You showed your jiu-jitsu game that many talked about for many years, but we didn't exactly see the submission part of your game for a while. Was that on purpose, Rafael, or is this something that you're getting back to more now?
Yeah, I always train jiu-jitsu. I'm always like sharpening my skills on the ground, but usually fights goes always stand up. I'm very comfortable to fight stand up too, and but there was something that happened. I landed a kick and he fell down. I got on the fight control, and right on the beginning of the fight, I was able to control him. And then I was training for that fight against Neil Magny. I was training a lot with the high-level jiu-jitsu guys. I was driving up to North Ridge to train with Romulo Barral and his students too. Like only like high-level Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys, world champions. And I was like doing a lot of sparrings with those guys. And like against Neil Magny, when I got there, I got under fight control. And I had I always sharpen my skills on jiu-jitsu. I'm training that my whole life.
Can't wait to see it. Rafael dos Anjos this weekend against Robbie Lawler on Big Fox. Rafael dos Anjos is the former UFC lightweight champion, is now moving up to welterweight. He could get a title shot with a win over Lawler. He's beaten Donald Cerrone, Benson Henderson, Nate Diaz, Anthony Pettis, Tarek Savity, Neil Magny. The list goes on and on. He's a great fighter. Thank you very much for the time, Rafael, here on MMA Junkie Radio. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
See you guys.
See you guys. You can follow him on Twitter at rdos Anjos MMA, at RDOS ANJOS MMA. Big shout out to Isaac from Tag for making that one happen. We're going to take a break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
Do what they say, and your life will be a lot better. Here are Gorgeous and Goes.
SiriusXM wants you to turn on the joy this holiday season with your chance to win one of 4 All-Star sporting experiences: the 2018 Pro Bowl in Orlando, the Honda NHL All-Star Game in Tampa, the NBA All-Star Game in Los Angeles, or the MLB All-Star Game in our nation's capital. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/All-Star-Trip. Do that before January 2nd, 2018. No additional purchase is necessary to enter or win. This sweepstakes is not sponsored, administered, produced, or executed by either the NHL, NBA, MLB, or NFL entities.
I was going to ask you guys, what does this remind you of this song? And Dan we have a little chat that we use during the show. And Dan, you picked a different movie than what I thought.
Really?
So now George has to be the tiebreaker.
Okay.
Where do you remember this song?
I already know. Like, Carlito's Way. I think it's actually in it.
That's the third one. No.
Damn.
This isn't in Carlito's Way?
I mean,
it is.
It's not where I remember it from. I remember this song from the Bad News Bears.
Really?
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm shady on that one still.
He had a good one, too. He said Boogie Nights.
That one, the epic one shot?
is good, too.
So we all remember it would be in Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah. But I instantly
Did you ever see that movie?
Saturday Night Fever with John Travolta, yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Bee Gees, baby.
In my opinion, one of the all-time great soundtracks.
Oh, yeah.
I
got love for the Bee Gees.
One of the worst moments of anxiety in a movie was from that. The bridge scene when I was a kid, just like, oh my God. Like, I freaked out.
Oh, yeah?
Sandy. Oh, wait, no, I'm thinking of a different John Travolta.
Yeah.
We got a few more guests coming in the second hour. But with a few minutes to go, let's bring in Danny Okers for MMA History Today. What you got, Danny Okers?
All right, see if you guys can guess. December 13th, 2014.
This was the day after Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo.
Goes luck.
I should do that one day.
Do you want me to let you know who it involves?
Give us the hints.
Oh, wait, Stevie Miocic? Oh, no. Oh, no.
Joanna beat Claudia Gadelha?
Carla
Esparza. To become... Nope, Claudia Gadelha.
To become the number one
contender. Yep.
Down in Phoenix, Arizona, was it?
Oh, I got the card right. Stipe headlined that card. I was going to say Stipe JDS.
It was. That was a card in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Got my dates intact,
We're
at least.
Pretty good there at it. All right, folks. We're going to take this last break here of the first hour, and then we'll come back. We'll talk to Eryk Anders. His friends in the NFL were watching his fight. If you check his Twitter handle, he's getting love from Mark Ingram from the New Orleans Saints, who, by the way, is having a great year. We're also going to talk to John Makdessi and Ryan Stoddard. So you can still call in, and if there's a pocket, we'll fit you in one way or another. 866-522-2846. One more time, 866-522-2846. You can also check us out if you ever want to see the video component, youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video or facebook.com/official MMA Junkie. We'll be right back after this break.
Some people call me the space cowboy. Yeah. Some call me the gangster of love. Some people call me Maurice, 'cause I speak of the pompatus of love. People talk about me, baby. Say I'm doing you wrong, doing you wrong. Well, don't you worry, baby, don't worry, 'cause I'm right here, right here, right here, right here at home. 'Cause I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a sinner. I play my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I get my loving on the run.
All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Big thanks again to our guests in the first half of the show, Lex McMahon, COO of Titan Fighting, and Rafael dos Anjos, former UFC lightweight champion, current UFC welterweight contender. As we move on to the second hour, we're starting off with Eryk Anders, your boy. He got a win this past weekend in Fresno. I wonder if he'll ever be in Fresno again. That's just one of those cities that you go to once and you don't ever know if you're going back to.
Even Daniel Russo didn't want to go there. Remember?
That's right, yeah. He defeated Marcus Perez to stay undefeated, 10-0. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, Eryk? How you doing?
Hey, nothing much, man. Just hanging out. How about yourself?
Doing great. You know, we're going to eat crow to start off the interview. We were giving you a hard time because before the fight, if you'll recall, we were giving you shit that Auburn had taken out Alabama and your squad may not make it to the Final Four, but you showed faith, and sure enough, a few weeks later, things shook out.
I told y'all what was going to happen.
You did. You did.
Yeah, man, you know, it's just hard to overlook a 31-point blowout in the Iowa-Ohio State game. So,
yeah,
you lost Ohio State. You know, it's gonna be it's gonna be tough to convince somebody that a 2-loss Ohio State's gonna get in before a 1-loss Alabama.
And the powerhouse you guys have become, it's just more fun with you guys in it, to tell you the truth. I mean, Ohio State's a powerhouse as well, but what I mean is, if someone had to pay the price, whoever it may be, you know, like I said, the run that Alabama's been on these last 10 years has been incredible. I think people are just used to seeing them in the Final Four format.
Yeah, and then, you know, I think that you put money into the equation as well. You know, Bama's going to travel. It doesn't matter where the game's at. It doesn't matter who they're playing. Bama's coming with that revenue, so I'm sure they look into that as well.
You going to those games?
I am not. I will be in Brazil. Me and my wife actually are going to take off here at the end of the week, and we won't be back to the you know, that first week of January.
Brazil, huh? You doing a press conference maybe?
No, we had already had this vacation planned out.
Okay. Yeah, well, you did the call out with Lyoto, and I can't imagine him turning that down unless, I mean, him not wanting to fight on that card unless it was just to turn you down and fight someone else. So that's why I was fishing here.
Yeah, so no word about that just yet. It's certainly out there, so we'll see what they got going on, what they're trying to do.
That was a great call out because, look, you started off 10-0, and you are definitely on everybody's map. But I guess what finally puts you over as a contender is taking out a ranked fighter or an iconic figure. So I don't know how much beforehand it was premeditated or if it just hit you or what, but that was really, really a sharp move on your behalf. I hope it works out for you.
Yeah, you know, he's in the top 15. You know, that's what I'm looking to do. I'm trying to make my way to the top 15. So he's just a logical call-out, logical matchup for myself.
You know who? What else was pretty cool when I was scanning the Twitter? At Eryk Anders, for those that want to follow, ERYKANDRS, is checking out your boys getting a shout-out from Mark Ingram, man. I know you've told us about some of the guys you stay in touch with, but he's balling this year, you know, and he saw your fight, and he was, you know, giving you some kudos. That was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, Mark's a huge MMA fan. Probably not something that he wants to do himself, but he certainly appreciates it. And, he's a fan just like a lot of people are.
You get any other NFLers or former Tide guys that same thing, follow up with you with every fight, including this one?
Alphonse Taylor is the next one that jumps out off the top of my head, but yeah, a lot of them, for sure shoot me some Twitter love and text message and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Eryk Anders, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Let me turn it over to Goes to see what he's got for Eryk Anders. What you got, Goes?
Eryk, early on in the sport, when the Ultimate Fighter was just getting started, when we would get fighters on from that season, from the early seasons, some people would go, "Oh, you mean the Ultimate Fighter guy?" And some of those fighters wanted to shed that as fast as they could, and others had a lot of respect for that. They loved being part of the Ultimate Fighter. When people bring up your name, sometimes guys go, "Oh, the football guy that's doing MMA now." That title, is that something that you wanna shed and just be known as the MMA guy, or is there a little bit of pride that goes along with hearing that, the guy from football?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of pride in that. A lot of hard work and dedication went into winning a championship in college. Just like the same goes into winning fights and in the UFC and whatnot. So I'll always have that pride, and that's just the nature of it. I'll forever be associated with Alabama football. That's one of the perks to playing for Alabama. So I don't think it's any secret that I'm making my way in the MMA world. Just based on my record and my 2 performances in the octagon. So I mean, I don't think I'll ever shed it, but at the same time, you can't deny the waves that I'm making in the cage.
Yeah, for sure. Now, this is now 2 wins in a row. When do you feel like you'll get that veteran status? How do you feel when you're in the locker room? When do you think people will look at Eryk Anders as, the veteran of the UFC here?
I don't know, man. I guess once I knock off a few. So whenever that comes, I really don't turn down fights. I sign contracts. So whatever name comes across that contract, man, they keep lining them up. I'm going to keep knocking them down.
Hey, Eryk, I got 2 questions for you. One, I don't know if I articulated it that well the last time or two we had you on, but one of the things I find most impressive about your game is the intelligence in your transitions on the ground. Especially when I was doing tape study before the Natal fight. Anybody who's facing a guy like Natal, okay, well, let's see how his opponent looks on the ground. And if we're going by the football stereotype that we were just talking about, you would not expect to see the things that you were doing. So I guess my question is there anybody in particular from a coach, inspiration, training partner that you can really credit to your growth in that area?
Just everybody that I train with. Chris Conley, my head coach, he's very knowledgeable, got over 20 years plus experience in martial arts and training and jiu-jitsu and all that good stuff. So, and then, I got the Division II, Division I All-American wrestlers that I work with. So, you kind of put the 2 together and, you kind of get the combination of my ground game.
Awesome. And I guess my second question in regards to matchups going forward, middleweight's it's a good division. There's a lot of good names, but there's also a lot of opportunities at the same time. We've seen a lot of fighters more willing to take fights on short notice if they're not ones that make too crazy of cuts to their respective divisions. We've seen that as sometimes a path to getting some of the bigger names, because that can also be a challenge in its own. I guess my question to you is: are you more of a guy that wants the full prep, the full process, or do you not mind if you're in shape or striking distance taking a fight on short notice?
I'm always in shape. I'm always ready to go. Like I fought Natal on 10 days' notice, and then there's Mark Perez. I've known about this fight for 3 months, so it doesn't matter to me. I'm always ready to go. I'll cut the weights, whatever. So it doesn't matter to me.
All right, Eryk, let's close with this. Let's forecast a little. How does it break down with the Final Four in college football? Give me the 2 winners and the eventual champion. I mean, I know what route you want to take, but I want to hear how the other teams fare through your eyes.
I think Oklahoma folds to the pounding of Georgia. Mm-hmm. So I actually see an Alabama-Georgia finals. which would be tough to call, but I'd have to go with Alabama over Georgia.
Okay. So that one's going to be a close game. What about y'all versus Clemson? Is that going to be close, or are you guys going to school them? Little payback,
yeah,
right?
I think it's going to be close. I think that, well, they're 1-1, so it's going to be a rubber match. You know, these past 2 years, Alabama's got one, Clemson got one. So, you know, this will be the rubber match. So, definitely a good one to see. Alabama's a little banged up on defense, but I think they get a lot of their players back and, you know, put some stops on the board, some 3-and-outs, and Alabama controls the clock with the run game.
There you go. All right. Hey, one last thing that just occurred to me. You know, guys like yourself, Ovin St. Preux, others that have played college ball, when you guys, recently in the NFL, I saw some guys going at it too in the Jacksonville-Seattle Seahawks game. So obviously, NFL players are fearless. They'll throw down at any moment. But there's still the difference between that and fighting in your underwear in front of thousands in an arena and millions at home. What is the difference there between the toughness there towards what you are now doing in the UFC? Like, where does the fall off? Where is it basically now, you know, somebody kicking you in the face and doing all the different things out there, whereas these little NFL skirmishes or college football skirmishes are just quicker shoves, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, in the NFL, you got shoulder pads, helmets, side pads, hip pads, all that other good stuff. You know, all you have is a mouth and a cup in MMA. So, one, you don't have the protection that they got. And so, I think that you got to be a little bit tougher to do MMA.
Yeah. If you, in 10 years, 15, whenever you decide to retire, could you go back to NFL coaching and apply MMA techniques to, you know, anywhere on the field, you know, in terms of like what you do with your hands or your feet or shucking somebody off, underhooks, stuff like that?
Yeah, especially for the offensive and defensive linemen. You know, a lot of wrestling is leverage, stuff like that. So I know, especially from the, you know, linebacker, defensive end, interior lineman perspective, there's a lot of stuff that you can learn from grappling.
There you have it. All right. Well, thank you for the time. We appreciate it. I'm glad we connected. Have fun in Brazil, and hopefully that fight with that won't be hopefully that won't be the only time you go to Brazil here in the next 6 months.
I hope so. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Thanks, Eryk. Take care. All right, folks. That is Eryk Anders on Twitter at Eryk Anders, ERYKANDERS. He's got some confidence in the Crimson Tide, huh?
Very much so.
A lot of the sharps are saying they may not get past Clemson, but
think so.
A lot of people didn't think Clemson could get past Alabama. So you just got to go out there, and the game's got to be played. I'm looking at the odds right here, and the games are tight. Alabama's -2.5, 47.5. Georgia's -1.5, total 60. Sammy the Squid's having his pool
is that what
extravaganza, yeah. He's having his college football pool. So if you want more information on that, hit him up at Sammy T Squid at gmail.com. Tell him you want in. You know what we do is, aside from being involved in the pool, so it's you versus everybody, me and my 3 buddies go up against him and his, or Big Ralph and his 3 buddies. So it's like
crew?
it's like a side bet.
Shirts for skins.
You know what I mean? So like if you wanted to be in Squid's pool but wanted some additional, then you and 3 homies pick out 3 other homies and just, you know, battle it out between them. It's been really fun. Last year was exceptionally fun for me because I did really well. So not only was I giving shit to the other team, I was giving shit to my boys. Like, come on, man! Like, I can only carry you guys so long. Like, I literally was on a hot streak. Big Ralph was on a hot streak for his team, but he wasn't giving shit to his guys, I don't think. But I was giving shit to my guys. Going, I remember telling him one time, and Dan, I remember I had won like 5 or 6 straight, and those guys had lost, all 3 of them. And I was telling them, I'm waking up praying that of the 3 of you, at least 1 wins and 2 loses, versus all of you losing. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Like, literally, I'd be like, yeah, we won. And those guys had the other team. So we couldn't, like, make up ground or anything like that. And so I started yelling at them. I was like, do we have to go 0-3? Can't we just go 1 and 2? 2 and 3 would be fabulous, but I'm praying to just go 1 and 2 so that we can keep up with these other guys.
Play the flag football game.
Yeah, it's him again. I was.
Well, I have every right though, right? If they go 0-3, 5 straight, I'm not going to congratulate them. I'm not going to high five them.
I was.
I trip out on logical smack talk. The other day, I did the NFL roundup, a private one, you know, and the first thing I was told was, "Where were you at the first part of the year?" Well, dumb fuck, I'll tell you where I was without naming the name, because otherwise everyone goes nuts. We were 0-9. What was I gonna say? How stupid would I be to talk trash or do an NFL roundup while we were losing? I was just basically showing up like this, hoping you guys wouldn't bring up the Niners. Yeah, of course, the minute they start winning, I start to feel a little bit proud. Like start to pound the chest. We've won 3 of our last 4. Yeah, I'm gonna flex a little bit, you know, because this season's done. But hopefully, we're starting to lead in the next season.
What do they call the position?
This?
The 0-9, when you're the whipping boy or the stable boy at that point?
We were the whipping boys, man. It was really, really rough. I mean, I was trying to look at positives. Like I mentioned the other day, there was 5 games that we lost. In the first 5 weeks, 4 of them, we lost by 11 points combined. We competed. Somebody blasted us. I forget who. Somebody just annihilated us. But the other ones, we were right there. They were heartbreakers. We were losing, right? But, again, that's where I wasn't at the beginning of the season. Was thumping my chest. There was nothing to do. So yeah, now when the chance happened, I was out there doing it, you know. And I was also doing it to the people that were kind of giving me a hard time. And then some people just obviously weren't saying anything. But it's been fun because the last few days, like as soon as the Lakers lost, I got a text.
Oh
yeah, and
didn't go perfect in your predictions, George.
No, well, no, that was another thing. That was a whole other thing. But this one had to do with just what happened to Lakers. And, you know, there's really nothing I can say. Hey, check it out. They're promoting Lawler and Dos Anjos on the big screen.
Oh, nice.
There's really nothing we can say because the Lakers are really are rebuilding. I mean, we're super young. I think the average age we had when we're fielding when we're playing at the end of games is usually like 21, 20, 22. So we're super young, and we've sucked for a few years, so we are rebuilding. I was told, well, that's just another way of saying your team sucks. That's actually true. It is. But what do they expect me to say? That my team sucks? I'm pretty much not going to say that. So, yeah. But I'm not lying. We really are rebuilding. Our trip started off with the Sixers, who aren't bad either, by the way. And we beat them in Philly, and then we beat Charlotte, and then we lost to the Knicks in overtime. How can I really rail on the young guys? That we're 2-1 on a road trip. You know, if you come back 500 from a road trip, that's actually good in the NBA. So we're 2-1 on the road trip. We're young guys. We competed. We went into overtime and lost against the Knicks. So it's hard to really say, yeah, you know, whatever. But
I still talk smack when my team suck. Well, basically, what I tell people is when my team gets crushed or whatever, or when they beat us, that's all you could beat us. We're terrible. You can only beat us by 1 touchdown. I thought you were good. Like I still kind of turn it around on them.
There is ways to do that. I mean, but. Like I say, I guess I got a lot of fishing lines on different piers. So there's I'm trash talking here and this and that and butting heads with people. I was also told, where were you before the game? And that's true. That is true. But I don't know that.
For basketball,
that shouldn't hold me back.
That's a little tough.
Well,
yeah,
no, it was football actually. It was football. That shouldn't hold me back from not being able to say something after the game. It would have been better if I said something before the game. That's true. But it shouldn't hold me back from saying something after the game, you know?
That Man Cave crew, I was with them on Sunday.
Because I get hit up.
I'm not worried about you guys one bit.
Really? They should be. We won last year. And that was with me carrying those lops on my back for 3 weeks. Finally, at the end, we started going 1-3 and 2-2, and we were able to take them out. But they should be sweating it because if one of my other guys gets hot, and you know I'm going to be hot, then we're going to take those guys down again. And if there's another foursome out there that wants some, sign up. We'll take you guys on as well. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
your boss to reschedule that meeting. Call your wife and tell her lunch is off. It's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes.
Help SiriusXM in the fight to end hunger. Support Why Hunger's annual Hungerthon donation drive. You can go to SiriusXM.com/Hungerthon and see items that you can bid on now through today. That's what it says. Like guest DJing on SiriusXM's Elvis Radio at Graceland, plus a 2-night stay at the Graceland Guest House. Or you can make a donation and receive a gift like a John Lennon Imagine scarf and more. Go to SiriusXM.com/Hungerthon for more details today. Let me reread that. It says, items you can bid on now through today. So I guess maybe today's the last day. Yeah. So from this moment until today. So we'll call it
till the end.
Midnight
Eastern. Say till the end of today,
midnight
right?
Eastern. Yeah.
Today.
Get to the chopper.
Today.
Today.
I don't even know why we say half the things we say.
We have John Makdessi on hold. He's fighting Abel Trujillo on Saturday. UFC on Fox 26. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, John? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for squeezing us in on Fight Week. This one's a home game. You didn't have to travel too far, and you get to stay in your home country.
Yeah, actually, the funny part is, I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I've been living. I've been staying. Been staying there for a whole training camp. It was an interesting. I made a move down there, so I'm very happy to be part of a great team. Obviously, Duke Rufus has been a great mentor and a great coach, so I'm very fortunate. And now I'm back to Canada soil. Winnipeg is like my second home. I fought here already, and I'm just happy to be able to go out there and give the fans excitement.
What made you switch camps?
Just personal growth. In life, people move on, and just I wanted to. I connected with Duke. We spoke. I met him. Through the ropes. Mitch Mayberger connected me to him, and I just had an instant connection. And he was, I just felt that when it comes to the fighting business, when it comes to the fighting world, and as a fighter, I think I can connect very well with Duke, and we have the same type of mentality, background, history. We grew up in the karate, taekwondo, martial arts world, so I found that he gave me that enthusiasm and revived me again.
Is this a permanent move, or will you go back to TriStar, for the next fight?
Well, I live in Montreal. I live in Canada, Montreal right now. Obviously, one step at a time. I mean, TriStar. Obviously, I started off at TriStar. It was, Montreal being a local gym. Right now, it's mostly Rufus Sports, and Duke Rufus is my home.
Was that tough to leave the gym? Was there good, bitter feelings, or was there support from them?
No, man, it's all. No, of course not, man. It's positive. It's all positive. At the end of the day, we're all fighters. Fighting it's an individual sport. TriStar and everything. Like I said, it's a part of the journey as a human being, as an individual, as a man. Life to move on. I learned. I started there, and now it's a new chapter in my life.
John, speaking of chapters of your life, we have you on a lot before your fights, usually, sometimes after. And it's something we really haven't brought up, but I'm going to bring it up now. With you moving on, new chapters in your life, but you moving to a new gym, has whatever happened in the past with Fear the Fighter, has that gone past any feelings that anybody had? Like, when you go to a new gym, do you ever have to, encounter people, in regards to that, or anywhere else you go? Or what can you update us as far as, what went down and how you've moved on from that?
Well, listen, man. This whole, like I said, the business part, it's very simple, man. I'm a straightforward man. I speak my mind. Mm-hmm. People can criticize, people can label whatever it is. At the end of the day, Fear the Fighter was something that it never really affected me in the sense of people knew. Everybody knew. The people that were in my circle, they knew. Obviously, I was never really a part of the business part. I was just, I was an inspiration. I was obviously, I was involved in it in the sense of, as a man, I try to surround myself in a sense of business, and good business-wise, to make good business moves, because fighting is temporary. You know what I mean? You fight, it's short term type of thing. Whatever you're able to make in the fighting world. Then I always try to be smart financially in a sense of build something. Obviously, a lot of things was out of my control with the whole freedom fighter thing, and whatever happened in the past. But there's no, it didn't affect my relationship with TriStar, because TriStar is its own umbrella, had its own, had its own sponsorships, had its own things going on. So it didn't really affect none of my relationships when it came to that.
And when you've flown to fights, like when you've gone to Las Vegas for your last 3, or Toronto for your last one, or Winnipeg, like there's never any resentment from other fighters from other camps. Like no one ever has approached you about it or anything since then. That's when you come in contact with 25 other fighters, that are on the same fight card as you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, freedom fighter, I mean, it's its own thing going on. You know what I mean? That's the funny part. Without John Makdessi, it's not really. It's not. Like I said, I was just a little speck on that. The whole. Freedom fighter, it's bigger than me. You know what I mean? I have no idea what's going on with that. I'm not involved in it anymore. Like I said, it was a past. You know what I mean? Now I can't really focus on. I cannot dwell on the past. And there's no fighters really approach me. It's a business. I guess at the end of the day, it's business, and the real fighters know that I was never involved.
Gotcha.
I was never involved in the business part anyway. So.
Okay. All right. Moving on. You got Abel Trujillo in front of you. And this is the type of guy I think that you would like to fight. This is a guy that likes to stand in there and sling leather. Right down your alley, I imagine. How excited are you about this matchup at UFC on Fox 26 Saturday?
Oh man, I mean, listen, this is competition, right? This is where we do it. We go test our skills, or test our mic. He's a top contender. I was actually supposed to fight him, so I feel like destiny is. It's only a matter of time. Come December 16, we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, he's a tough competitor. I can't really see much about him. I'm focused on what I'm gonna do and the goal is to go out there and try to give the fans excitement. Obviously, I always try to go out there and perform at my best, and I always try to go out there and to give fans excitement. I never try to make it a boring fight, of course, and we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. John Makdessi, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's fighting Abel Trujillo on Saturday, UFC on Fox 26. I've been telling you guys, this is a loaded card, not just at the top. There's some really good matchups throughout the card. And remember, everything starts a lot earlier throughout the day. I will update you guys throughout the week as far as the earlier start times. But that main card does go off at 8 p.m. Eastern start time, 5 p.m. Pacific. All right, Goes, what do you have for John Makdessi?
John, this will be your 14th fight in the UFC. When you're walking to the cage, have you settled into like a certain state, a certain emotion, or does every fight feel different for you?
I mean, at the end of the day, you go into a fight, right? So I'm trying to, for me, it's all about trying to stay calm and get that enthusiasm in the sense of, stay calm, composed, and just trust my training. Of course, I've been competing since the age of 6, and the funny part is I always get those, nerves and stuff. I guess it's normal. I can't, I put everything in. I put my whole life on the line for this. I dedicated my whole life to martial arts and the fighting world. So, of course, sometimes, it's normal as a human being. You have those feelings, But yeah, man, I'm very excited to be able to go out there and have an opportunity to go out there and showcase my real talent.
Moving over to Rufus Sport, can you pinpoint the moment where you decided this feels right, this feels very comfortable? Was there a certain moment that you can point to that made you happy in that decision?
It's just the love and the compassion and the understanding that Duke showed me. Meeting Duke, I'm a big fan of his. He was a highly successful world champion, kickboxing champion. He has a lot of. He comes from a family of fighting, and the way I see him living at Rufus Sports, I did a big sacrifice. I was very uncomfortable. It was hard for me, because I'm a loyal man. I've been 9 years loyal to in Montreal, my hometown. I try to make it work. I try to start back any day. When I go home, when I go to bed, I'm not really happy with myself and with how things are going. You know, I need to make moves. You know, and nobody's gonna make the moves. Nobody's gonna take care of John Makdessi, you know, better than me. I realize through life and as growing up as a man, you know, I'm not the same. I'm not the same when I was in my 20s, and now in my 30s, I feel I'm more mature. I'm just, you know, the business. You know, I had to learn. As growing up. It was trial and error. You know, I mean, I wasn't raised in a fighting family where, you know, where I had people really from the outside making sure, you know, I have certain people around me that are going to keep me straight in line. I mean, I'm a human being. I made a lot of mistakes. I got distracted a lot. I had a lot of bad influence and good influence. You know, it's life, man. You know, life takes you different roads. You know, but with Rufus and Duke, I just felt that I had an instant connection with Duke, and he's a great guy. He has a big heart, and I really see the way he takes care of the fighters, man. And most importantly, we have the same mentality. That's for me. It's a mental connection is more important.
John, I want to add on to that mental connection and the gym. Obviously, you know, you work great with Duke and his background, but let me ask you, you know, I myself, I'm not a fighter, but I'm your age, 32. I grew up doing taekwondo and karate in the 90s and love martial arts, as I'm sure you do. But when I come across other guys who come from that similar background, I almost feel a camaraderie. So my question is to you: when you come across Anthony Pettis or Paul Felder, who's a similar age, same weight class as you as well, did you guys hit it off right off the bat? Is there that type of camaraderie because you guys have the same background and similar goal in mind?
I mean, as a fighters, we all respect each other. We're at the gym. Everybody's there. They have their focus. They have their thing going. You know, I feel like this is the thing about MMA. You know, because of all the fighters working in the same gym, it can become very complex. You know, I don't want to say the wrong word, but what I'm trying to say is, like, you look at boxing, you look at other sports. You have one fighter, you have one training camp, you have one trainer, you have one umbrella, you have one camp. You know, and made a lot of guys mix things up. You know, so the most important thing for me is just to focus on my lane, focus on me, and not really focus on other guys. Because in the past, I focused on too many other guys, and it kind of put me in a down spiral because you started focusing on things that, I mean, at the end, you know, you focus on other people and other training, how guys train and everything, and it kind of plays with your head. You know what I mean? So being Rufus and Duke, he kind of lets me be me, and he puts me back on my, he makes me refocus on me and be just like have my style, you know, because it's very easy to try to focus on other people's style, and you can get lost in that, you know what I mean? And so with Duke, yeah, he really reconnected me back with my roots in the sense of how to be a better MMA fighter with my character and my style, you know, with my skills, because I cannot be like Paul Felder, even if or Anthony Pettis, you know. I respect them and they're high level fighters, you know. I look up to them, and but at the end of the day, I have to focus on me, if that makes any sense.
Yep, we got it. All right. John Makdessi fighting on Saturday versus Abel Trujillo. Everybody talks about Trujillo's power. He's got 15 wins, 5 KOs. John Makdessi's got 14 wins, 9 KOs. So both of them pack a punch, but do not dismiss my man Makdessi over here. Good luck, John, on Saturday. You know we'll be tuning in. And thanks for always doing the MMA Junkie radio show. We appreciate your time.
Hey, man, thank you guys for my whole, you know, I just want to say past 7 years now in the UFC, and it's been a great, crazy journey. It's been a crazy roller coaster ride, but you guys have always been supportive. You guys always interviewed me, and I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate all the fans out there that always continue to support me throughout my career.
Awesome. Thank you, man. We'll see you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye. That's John Makdessi. Follow him on Twitter at John Makdessi, just like his name, JOHN MAKDESSI. Big shout out to Mitch Mayberger for making that one happen. We're going to take a break here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. When we come back, we'll talk to Ryan Stoddard from Victory Fighting Championships. Victory Fighting Championships 59 happens on Saturday. We'll tell you more about it when we come back. Ryan Stoddard is the owner-operator of that promotion.
are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Get the radio channel numbers for NFL, NBA, and NHL games sent directly to your smart device. Go to SiriusXM.com/sportsnow. Then click Add to Calendar. You'll even get links to listen directly on the SiriusXM app. That SiriusXM app also houses the MMA Junkie Radio Show, commercial-free, HD quality. Get it. Check it out if you ever miss any part of the show. All right, we're going to move on here to our last guest. He is the owner-operator of Victory Fighting Championships. Victory FC 59 takes place on Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern start time, with a main event of Rafael dos Anjos versus Arnold Burton. Joining us now is Ryan Stoddard. What's up, Ryan? How you doing?
Guys, I miss being on the show. I feel like I haven't been busy enough. You don't ever want to talk to me no more.
Well, the game's just blowing up. There's just a lot of Ryan Stoddards. There's a lot of Rafael Stotses. There's so much going on in the sport, man. It's a juggling act. You know what I mean? But you have a great PR guy in Scott Zur who continuously is in my ear. So I'm glad we were able to get you on today.
You know, me as well, guys. Like I said, I've missed being on the show, and it's always a good time.
Yeah. So, let's start at the top. Rafael Stotts, one of your favorites. I know you've been doing this for a long time, but this is a kid that's been homegrown for you, and he's done well at the gate. He performs, and he's taking on Arnold Burton. Tell us a little bit about Burton, and then talk about the matchup.
You know, Arnold is in his own right is actually, you know, very, very talented as well. He's also another top prospect out there. He actually trains with current featherweight champion Max Holloway, as well as Yancy Medeiros and Maki Patola, who's fought for Victory a bunch. You know, I like to big shout out to my Hawaii connection and being able to bring those guys in all the time. You know, I actually feel bad for some of those guys coming up like Arnold, because I don't think they get the attention they deserve, because unfortunately they've been, you know, segregated to fighting around that island or being on that island for so long. They just haven't got the credit they deserve. But he's another guy coming up. In fact, he made his Victory debut a year ago this month and had like a 6-second knockout. It was one of the best knockouts I've ever had, and then rattled off another win in May. And, you know, it's one of those situations where I want these guys, similar to like the Contender on the Fight Pass also does, where, you know, we want really the top guys fighting each other to show and prove that, you know, they belong in the UFC. So that's what we were able to put together.
Now, this fight card has a huge concentration of 45, 55, 70. Do you have, like, how do your fight cards work when you're actually putting them together? Do you like to focus on certain weight classes? Is there an actual intent when you start off in putting together a fight card?
There is intent. I would like to have more weight classes. You know, unfortunately, I fight a battle on two different fronts, whereas, you know, I need to put on X amount of local individuals who can, you know, obviously draw people from whatever market I'm in to the show, as well as individuals that can draw national media attention, so people want to tune into Fight Pass. You know, Stotts is actually, luckily enough for us, both of those. You know, he does very well in selling first in Omaha, and then, you know, also a lot of people have got to watch him grow up on our show and have become fans of him. So it's a good situation from that standpoint. But honestly, you know, Midwest is weirdly enough very, very dry. Anyone from 205 to heavyweight. But the nice thing is now with our sale to Alliance MMA, we are going to be expanding into much, much bigger markets next year, which I'm very, very excited about. And I've recently just signed one of the top heavyweight prospects out there in a gentleman named Mohammed Usman, who is Kamaru Usman's brother, who will be making his debut early next year for us.
Very familiar with him. He trains out of the Fight Lab in Arizona. We had him on the show recently. He's a really, really cool guy and very charismatic. Great signing.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about him. You know, Kamaru fought for us a few years ago, and Mohammed came out with him, and you know, it was just a really great situation for everybody, for us to all get together and make it work. And you know, we expect really big things out of him. You know, he's one of those incredibly athletic individuals that you know, if you can mold him properly, man, watch out.
I'm still trying to figure out struggle though with heavyweights. I mean, there's like the Midwest is huge on college football, huge on wrestling. There's got to be some corn-fed hillbillies out there that'll, help you stock up the shelves there at 205 and heavyweight. No.
No, I don't disagree. And to be honest with you, I think the sport is still evolving to the point, something where I've always wanted to do is go to the Division II college national championships for wrestling, or Division I national championships, as well as, go to some of these schools and find these guys that aren't going to get recruited into the NFL or, make a longer career out of wrestling and be able to utilize them. Because I do think there is a need for those people at those weight classes. I mean, if you look at somebody like Francis Ngannou, who kind of just popped onto the scene and is now fighting for a title, and similar with Volkan Ozdemir, who's fought 3 times in the UFC, and now he's fighting for the title. I mean, that shows that there's a need for new blood, and it's honestly getting to the point where we can dedicate time to go into these places, trying to recruit these guys, because at the end of the day, we aren't a management company, and these individuals do need some guidance. So it's kind of a situation where you got to find a team effort of a gym that can coach them, a manager that can manage them, and a promotion like us that can actually promote them. So I would love to do that in the future, but all things take time.
Goes, do you know who originally came up with the corn-fed hillbilly line? I stole that from somebody.
Yeah.
Who?
Eddie Wineland.
That's right. Yeah, I stole that from him. All right. Now, this fight card has another title fight. So, again, Victory Fighting Championship 59 coming strong on Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And those are some of my favorite divisions, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight. The title fight is in the bantamweight. So, there's going to be lots of action, lots of speed, lots of athleticism. In the co-main event, we got Victor Moreno versus, Yuri Villafort. Talk a little bit about that matchup, Ryan, please.
Well, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys know a lot of background on Yuri, but for everyone listening, at one point in time, Yuri was considered one of the top MMA prospects in the world. He comes from a very long lineage of jiu-jitsu black belts out of Brazil.
His dad used to fight NHB.
There's a huge hype behind him. His brother Danilo obviously had a successful fighting career as well. And, Yuri started off well. Got the Strike Force. I think he had 1 fight in the UFC maybe. Just kind of sputtered a little bit. Lost 3 in a row, and unfortunately he got thrown into the big show at like 4-0. So at that point in time he's, 4-3 or 6-3. The records, it's tough to kind of battle back from that. We were able to pick him up for our very first show on Fight Pass. He had this flying knee knockout that was just unbelievable. He spent a lot of time redeveloping himself. Continuing to get better as an athlete. He won our title in April over our former champion Cassius Kane, and he's taken the last X amount of months to just continue to get better. And Victor Moreno, being a Midwest guy, he's very much that almost journeyman figure. I want to say he's got like 60-some fights, but he's fought everybody, and honestly, they are very, very, very similar. I think Yuri obviously has the edge in the jiu-jitsu area, but when Victor Moreno puts in the time, puts in a really good camp, I think he went down to ATT for this fight. He's one of the best guys that Victory's ever had fighting for him. It's just him finding that consistency in order to be successful. But this is one of those fights that on paper, the records, you look at them, you're like, but really, it's the fight that's going to matter.
Ryan Stoddard, a guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. All right, Dan Tom, what do you have for Ryan Stoddard?
Ryan, as a Hawaiian, I appreciate you reaching into the Hawaiian markets to grab that talent, because whether it's music or any other things, the island is kind of isolated. Well, not kind of, it's literally isolated in a sense where things don't get off there. Now, you can complain about music, but I think we all agree that Hawaiians can bring a good fighting spirit. So props to you, sir, on that.
I was always such a fan of the old sport fights, icon shows, Super Bowls, those events, that I know the talent that is there. You know what I mean? And it's really developing a relationship with the gyms, the athletes, because they're so good to us too as well. When these kids come over, it's 80 degrees, 90 degrees there right now. They get here, it's 20. but they always put on a show. They're so thankful, and they're really easy to work with. I mean, they just want to fight. They want to, do what they need to do to get to that next level. And you have a super supportive team around them. Yancy Medeiros is with Arnold here right now for the event this weekend, helping him. Coming off of what was possibly the fight of the year 2 weeks ago. And then actually Max Holloway is going to be here Friday, and he'll be at the show on Saturday signing autographs for all the fans in support of his teammate as well. So when you can have two individuals who are literally leading the charge for an entire island and culture of people come in and help a guy who's only 6-1 on his way up, that really goes to show you how much they care about each other as well.
That's awesome to hear. You guys bring the fight experience, but you guys are also, from the sounds of it, really bringing and building the fan experience to go along with that. And touching on that, and touching on something you said earlier, Ryan, it's not always up to you. There's a lot of different intangibles that go into the process of how many cards you end up finalizing at the end of a bout. But speaking of the fan experience, I'm sure your fan hat is somewhere next to your promoter hat. What, in your opinion, Ryan, is the ideal number of fights for a card? For example, mine, I'll just throw out there, would be 9 if in a perfect world. That was Pride 33. I feel it's kind of a sweet spot, but what do you notice from your time promoting with audiences, the whole live feel? What's the sweet spot?
For me, it's 8 professional fights, and then, we really do a good job of trying to develop our own talent within. If you look at the current show that we have this weekend, Seth Bass fought for us as an amateur. Troy Naraki fought for us as an amateur. Tower Robinson fought for us as an amateur. So we really have developed our own farm system to kick the night off, and build from within and build our own, quote unquote stars locally. And then, I'd like to start with, 5 fights on an undercard. We try to rock those out right away. And then when we go live on Fight Pass, my ideal number is 8. Weirdly enough, it's been a struggle to find welterweights for this show. I actually had another welterweight fight scheduled, and we just couldn't find anybody for the person. I don't understand why. I know a lot of fighters are at the Ultimate Fighter tryouts this weekend, which was kind of made things a little difficult. But no, for me it's 8. I think that's the right number. We operate our shows on Fight Pass, where when we start, we run straight through. We try not to go with a lot of fluff, because at the end of the day, people are busy. They only have so much time to sit there and watch fights on any given night. And, I want to, if I had their attention for 3 hours, I think that is a good amount of time for me to try to pack in as much entertainment as possible and send them to bed feeling good.
Ryan, Max Holloway isn't the only big star signing autographs this weekend. Can you also throw out that other name?
Yeah, no, actually Arnold Verdon is married to Rachel Ostovich, who is coming off of the Tough 25, I think it was 25, show, and a big win 2 weeks ago as well. And Paige Van Zant is going to be there also in support of her boyfriend, Austin Vanderford, who is making his victory debut and has signed a long-term contract for us. So we plan on opening the doors for the show at 6. We have a really nice area set up with our photographers. They're going to be there taking photos of people, signing autographs for about an hour. So if you get the opportunity to come out, please do. Honestly, Max Holloway is potentially looking to be one of the best to ever do it, what he does in our sport. And anytime he can get the opportunity to meet somebody that wonderful, and more importantly, who is a really wonderful human being, if you've ever had the chance to meet him, I would recommend doing so. And big thank you to Alliance MMA, who owns the Victory Fighting Championship now, for helping sponsor this event, as well as Pure Spectrum CBD out of Colorado, who also helped make all of this possible.
All right. Well, great catch-up, Ryan. We have to move on, though. We're coming up against the clock. But thank you so much for the time. We will be tuning in on Saturday for VFC 59, Stotts Verdon, Marino Villafort, and then, of course, for any fans that are in the Omaha, Nebraska area at the Baxter Arena, go out there, support, watch this card, and get there early because Max Holloway, Paige Van Zant will be signing autographs. Thank you, Ryan. Take care, buddy.
Hey, thanks, guys.
All right. We'll see you. Thank you to Ryan Stoddard for his time. Scott Zer with the shout-out there. Lex McMahon, Rafael dos Anjos, Eryk Anders, John Makdessi. That was our show today. We're out of here, folks. Go out there and be champions.